Hi, this is Mohammad Ashik Wali. On this video, I'm going to show you how to backup and restore your existing flow with the help of another flow. This is my first video on YouTube, so forgive me if I make some mistakes. Microsoft Flow or Power Automate is a very popular service within the Office 365 suite of services. You know the reason why. There are many developers and IT pro users who have been using this service to quickly automate a business process. If you have a flow which has been deleted for some reason, you'll not be able to restore it back unless you have the flow definition or by contacting Microsoft support. So on this video, I'll be creating two flows. The first flow will help you to backup the flow definition and the connection information of a flow as a file on OneDrive. And my second flow is going to restore a file by creating a new flow based on the information which is backed up on the first flow. So I'm going to quickly show you the flow which I'm going to back up. So this is the flow which I'm going to back up. It has only one action. It is quite a simple flow. The action is send an email which gets triggered when an item is created on a list. So as I said, the information which needs to be backed up is the flow definition. The flow definition has information about all the actions used within a flow, and also the trigger information. So here the trigger is when an item is created, and it's an automated trigger. And also the other information which we require to be backed up is the flow connection references. So that has the information on the connection details. So if you look at the connection for this action, it is my connection. So all the connection details for each action will be stored on that particular field, flow connection references. These two information we are going to back up as a file on OneDrive for Business. That's going to be our first flow. Let's go ahead and create the first flow. It's going to be an instant flow which gets triggered on a button click from a mobile. I'm selected this trigger so that I'll be able to trigger this during this video. The name of the flow is backup the flow. Now I'm going to use an action called as get flow. It's under the connector flow management, and it's not a premium connector, it's a standard connector, and it has two parameters, environment and flow. So you'll have to select the environment which has the flow which needs to be backed up. So I'm selecting my dev production, and this has that flow which I've shown you earlier. And then the second step is to select the flow name. And once this is added, we'll have to add the compose actions. So this action, this get flow, has got the flow definition field and also the connection references. Let's now add the compose action. The compose action is like a variable for storing an information within a flow. I'm going to rename this to flow definition. Okay, now let's look for the dynamic content from this action get flow. So flow definition. Here we go. Now let's add the second compose action to store the flow connection references. A compose action can actually hold different types of data. It can be an integer, string, or an array, or an object. Let's rename this to flow connection references. let's look for the field that from the dynamic content for references. Yeah, so we have added the connection references. Now let's add the action which will help us to store the file, the required information on OneDrive for Business. So you can also use SharePoint, or you can use GitHub, or you can also use Azure Blob to store your backups. So on this video, I'm going to use OneDrive for Business connector. So there is an action called as create file. I'm going to rename this action to create flow definition file. Let's now select the path. In OneDrive, I have already created a folder to back up the flow. So I'm going to use the field flow display name underscore flow definition dot JSON, and file content should be from the compose action flow definition. Now let's add one more action, create file to store the connection references. Let's rename this action. Create flow connection references. Let's select the path. I'm going to use the same naming standard as I've used earlier. There is an issue here. The information which I have entered on this action has vanished. So underscore flow definition dot JSON. Flow display name underscore flow connection reference dot JSON. The file content is going to be from the compose action. Yeah, so let's save this. The first file is ready, the first flow is ready. Let's save this. Yeah, let's now test this flow. Let's run it. The flow has run successfully. Let's now go look at the OneDrive folder if it has created two files. So it has created the two files. The first one is the flow definition file, and the next one is the flow connection references. Let's now go look at the content. So the type of content which is stored inside these two files are in JSON format. So let's first look at the definition file. Let's copy the content, and I'm going to it's in a JSON format. I'm going to use an online JSON formatter to show you the kind of information it has stored. Yeah, so if you look here, it has the trigger information. And what kind of trigger is this? When an item is created, frequency, interval, everything, right? Get on new item. So this is the trigger which we have used in the flow. When an item is created on an SharePoint list, it gets triggered. And the actions, so it has an send an email action, so you can see the details. It has only one action, and to whom the mail has to be sent, and what is the body, subject, etc. If you have got multiple actions on the flow, you will find all the information here. Let's now go look at the other file which we have stored. So I'm closing this and I'm finding this one, copying this. Yeah, so you can look here. So it has the connection information. The first one is for the trigger, and the second connection is for the action. So we have the backup in place now. Let's go ahead and create a new flow which would help us to restore the flow. So I'm going to use the instant flow with the same trigger as I have used for the previous flow. Restore a flow. So let's create it. Let's now add the action to get the file content from OneDrive. So we'll have to get the file content from two files. One is the connection flow connection references, and another one is the flow definition. Let's first get the flow definition. So the action name is get file content from the connector OneDrive for Business. For long list, yeah, here we go. So this is the action. So let's name it as get flow definition file content. Definition file content. Now select the file from OneDrive where we have backed up. There's going to be two files. Flow definition, the second one. Now we have got the file content. Now let's get the file content for the connection references. Let's add another action, get file content. Here. Let's select the file. So the first one, let's rename this to connection references. Get connection references file content. Yeah, so there is an action called as create flow under flow management. There's also a standard connector. Yeah. These are the required parameters. The first one is the environment. We'll have to select the environment where you like to get the new flow restored. So I'm going to select the same environment, and now the display name of the flow, restored flow. Send an email. Flow definition. So here we have the content for the flow definition from OneDrive, but this parameter expects the content to be on an JSON format. Let's add JSON. Go to the expression, you'll be able to find it. And now select the content for the flow definition. Yeah. So now here we have the state, and you would like to have the flow enabled or disabled. If you'd like to have it enabled, select started. If you'd like to have the flow disabled, select stopped. And now we'll have to give the information about the connection. So click on this one, T. Now, as same as this flow definition, it expects in the JSON format, and let's get it from the get connection file content, connection references file content. Let's go to expression and look for JSON. Go to the dynamic content and select the file content for the connection references and click OK, and then save it. We are good. I'm clicking on save twice to make sure that everything is saved without any problem. Now let's test it. Yeah. And now run the flow. That's good. We have got your flow has run successfully and there's no issues. Yeah, everything seems to be fine. Now let's go look at the flow. Yeah, so you can find it. Restored flow, send an email. Let's click on this to see if everything is okay. Let's try to edit this, and you can see the flow is in enable mode. It has the connection, it has the trigger, yeah, to the same list, and it has also the actions in an email with whatever information we had earlier. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you find this information useful. Thanks for watching.